On July 20th, 1969, the world watched in awe as Neil Armstrong took his first steps on the moon. This monumental achievement marked a turning point in human history. It was a giant leap for mankind. Yet, even as millions celebrated, seeds of doubt were sown. Could this incredible feat be real, or was it an elaborate hoax? This question, whispered by skeptics, has echoed through the decades, fueling conspiracy theories and challenging the very notion of truth. The moon landing was a bold claim. It pushed the boundaries of science and technology. Some found it hard to believe. Was it all too good to be true? The stage was set for a debate that continues to this day. The world had witnessed an event unlike any other. But for some, the extraordinary seemed impossible. This skepticism, however small, grew in the shadows of this historic achievement. It continues to intrigue and divide even today. To understand the skepticism surrounding the moon landing, we must journey back to the Cold War. This period was marked by intense rivalry and suspicion between the United States and the Soviet Union, two superpowers vying for global influence and technological dominance. This era of geopolitical tension between the United States and the Soviet Union fueled an unprecedented space race. The stakes were not just about reaching space, but about proving which ideology, capitalism or communism, was superior. Both superpowers poured resources into their space programs. Billions of dollars were invested, and some of the brightest minds were recruited to push the boundaries of what was possible. They sought to demonstrate technological superiority and assert dominance on the world stage. The space race was as much about national pride as it was about scientific discovery.
The Soviet Union initially took the lead. Their early successes were a source of immense national pride and a propaganda tool to showcase the supposed superiority of the communist system. They launched Sputnik, the first artificial satellite, in 1957. This was a groundbreaking achievement that sent shockwaves around the world. This event shocked the United States, sparking fears of falling behind in the space race. The American public and government were alarmed, leading to a renewed focus on space exploration. The pressure was on for the U.S. to catch up. The government poured resources into NASA, and the space program became a national priority.
The space race became a symbolic battleground. It was not just about reaching the moon, it was about proving the superiority of one way of life over another. It was a test of each nation's technological prowess and ideological strength. Every mission was a statement, every launch a declaration of intent, every successful launch, every milestone reached was a victory in the global court of public opinion. The world watched as these two giants battled it out in the final frontier. The stakes were incredibly high. Failure was not an option, as it would mean a loss of face on the global stage. In this context of intense competition and mistrust, the moon landing took on immense significance. It was a mission that had to succeed, not just for scientific reasons but for national pride and geopolitical strategy. It was more than just a scientific achievement, it was a powerful symbol of American ingenuity and a decisive victory in the Cold War space race. The moon landing was a moment that defined an era, a testament to what humanity could achieve when driven by competition and the desire to explore the unknown. Despite overwhelming evidence, some individuals and groups continue to question the authenticity of the moon landing. This skepticism has persisted for decades, fueled by a combination of mistrust in governmental institutions, a fascination with conspiracy theories, and the human tendency to question the unknown. They point to perceived inconsistencies in the photographic and video evidence, suggesting a carefully orchestrated hoax. These skeptics scrutinize every detail, from the shadows cast by the astronauts to the behavior of the American flag, in an attempt to find proof of deception. These claims, while lacking scientific merit, have gained traction among certain circles, fueled by mistrust in government and a fascination with alternative narratives. The internet has only amplified these voices, allowing conspiracy theories to spread more rapidly and reach a wider audience than ever before. One of the most common arguments put forth by skeptics centers around the American flag planted on the lunar surface. They argue that the flag's movement is inconsistent with the moon's lack of atmosphere. In photographs, the flag appears to wave as if caught in a breeze. This observation has led many to believe that the footage was filmed on Earth, where wind could cause such movement. However, the moon has no atmosphere to speak of, so how could the flag flutter? NASA has explained that the flag was designed with a horizontal rod to keep it extended, and the apparent waving was caused by the astronauts' movements as they planted it. This apparent anomaly, they argue, exposes the fabricated nature of the event. Yet, this argument overlooks the scientific explanations provided by experts and the physical properties of the flag's design. Another point of contention revolves around the lighting in the lunar photographs. Skeptics argue that the shadows cast by the astronauts and objects on the moon are inconsistent with the sun being the sole source of light. Skeptics claim that the shadows cast by the astronauts and objects on the moon are inconsistent with the sun being the sole source of light. They suggest that multiple light sources, such as studio lights, must have been used to create the images. They suggest that artificial lighting must have been used, implying that the images were staged in a studio environment. However, experts have explained that the uneven terrain of the moon's surface can cause shadows to appear at odd angles, and the reflective properties of the lunar soil can also affect the lighting. Further fueling their suspicions is the lack of visible stars in the photographs taken from the moon's surface. Skeptics argue that if the landing was real, the sky should be teeming with stars, unobstructed by any atmosphere. If the landing was indeed real, they argue, the sky should be teeming with stars, unobstructed by any atmosphere. However, the cameras used by the astronauts were set to capture the bright lunar surface, making the faint light of distant stars invisible in the photographs. The absence of stars, they claim, is further proof of a cover-up. Yet, this argument fails to consider the technical limitations of the photography equipment used during the mission. Finally, skeptics question the lack of a blast crater beneath the lunar module. They argue that the module's powerful descent engine should have carved out a significant crater upon landing. They argue that the module's powerful descent engine should have carved out a significant crater upon landing. However, NASA has explained that the moon's surface is covered in a layer of fine dust, and the low gravity means that the descent engine did not need to exert as much force as it would on Earth. The absence of such a crater, they propose, indicates that the module was simply placed on the lunar surface rather than landing under its own power. This argument, like many others, ignores the scientific explanations and evidence provided by experts in the field. While the claims made by moon landing skeptics may seem compelling at first glance, they crumble under the weight of scientific scrutiny. These theories often rely on misunderstandings or misinterpretations of the evidence, which can be easily clarified with a closer look at the facts. Experts in physics, photography, and lunar conditions have repeatedly debunked these theories, providing clear and concise explanations that align with the evidence and our understanding of the natural world. These professionals have dedicated their careers to studying the intricacies of space and the moon, and their insights are invaluable in dispelling these myths.
The waving flag, for instance, is easily explained. This particular myth has been one of the most persistent, yet it is based on a simple misunderstanding of the flag's design and the conditions on the moon. The flag was designed with a telescopic pole to ensure it would stand out proudly on the lunar surface. This design included a horizontal rod to keep the flag extended, giving it the appearance of waving, even in the vacuum of space. The wrinkles in the flag, mistaken for movement caused by wind, are simply a result of the flag being folded during its journey to the moon. When the astronauts unpacked and set up the flag, the creases remained, creating the illusion of movement. The perceived lighting inconsistencies are also easily debunked. Shadows on the moon can appear strange due to the unique lighting conditions and the uneven terrain. The uneven terrain of the moon can create optical illusions, making shadows appear to fall at different angles. This is a common phenomenon that can be observed in various environments on Earth as well. Furthermore, the reflective nature of the lunar surface can cause light to scatter in unexpected ways, further contributing to the perceived anomalies. The moon's surface is covered in a fine, reflective dust that can bounce light in multiple directions. The absence of stars in the photographs is not evidence of a hoax, but rather a simple matter of photographic exposure. The cameras used by the astronauts were set to capture the bright lunar surface and the astronauts themselves. The bright lunar surface and the astronauts' white suits required a fast shutter speed and a small aperture to prevent overexposure. These settings are standard in photography when dealing with very bright subjects. These settings would have made it impossible to capture the faint light from distant stars. The stars were simply too dim to be recorded with the camera settings needed for the bright lunar environment. Finally, the lack of a blast crater beneath the lunar module is entirely consistent with the physics of landing on the moon. The moon's lower gravity and the design of the lunar module's descent engine played crucial roles in this. The module's descent engine was designed to throttle back significantly just before touchdown, minimizing the force exerted on the lunar surface. This careful control of the engine's thrust ensured a gentle landing. Moreover, the moon's dusty surface would have dispersed the exhaust plume, preventing the formation of a deep crater. The fine lunar dust combined with the low gravity meant that the exhaust gases spread out over a wide area, leaving no significant mark.